What you create in the mind, it's all about manifesting. Some people write their ideas down because from what is written down, something else is going to come out from it.
Write down your vision and make it plain for the world to see.
Things always work out. Do your best with what you have. Ultimately, it's going to work out, and all the hard work eventually pays off, but you still have to be standing there to receive it when it does.
But no matter how you do it, it must be something that it starts to take a shape.
Welcome back to Mulligan Brothers. Today's video, as always, was sponsored by Huel. I'm drinking Huel Black Edition, which has 26 vitamins and minerals, 35 grams of protein and slow release carbs to make sure that I can stay satiated and proteined up whilst I make these documentaries. If you want to find out more about these, go to the link in the description. I'll talk about them a little bit later on in the video. Throughout the year, and especially at the start of the year, myself and my brothers will sit down and we'll start to write goals, and we'll start to write things down in our journals and have certain things to achieve that year, or like just things to make it more present. And we've always said that the writing down of something for us helps us manifest it even more. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yes, so in what you just said right now, I can absolutely agree, because this is like in those programs when people do not come here, let's say. One part of why we do have, for example, workbooks is because we want them not just to stay in the world of thinking about these things, thinking about the outcome and thinking about what they just felt, because to manifest them and writing them down gives another quality to it, let's say. And so therefore, yes, what you want, what you create in the mind, it's all about manifesting. Things that stay in the mind that do not manifest, it's good for one person itself, but maybe it doesn't benefit many more people because they don't see it. People can only see it if it is manifested. And the first way of bringing something from here out into this world is by writing it down, or even speaking it on something that records it. What are your thoughts? Also meaning you can also manifest in the moment where you speak about your ideas to another person. Even that one is something that is starting to turn the wheel. So this is how I see, which is like part of the process in terms of when you want to make something become real. Why do you exchange ideas? Because sooner or later you want maybe some of these ideas to become real, that the idea starts to shape into a form. And how is it done? Some people write their ideas down, because from what is written down, something else is going to come out from it. Other people prefer to exchange these ideas with other people once again. But no matter how you do it, it must be something that it starts to take a shape. Yes. Whether it is, like I said, in terms of writing it down, speaking it on a recorder, or drawing it somewhere. But I do suggest that also now, in regards of starting the new year, it does help to write down on your refrigerator just a few bullet points. People might think, yeah, but come on, it's so little. No, it's the little things. If you can't handle the little things, you will not be able to handle the big things. That's just how it is. So that means the small things matter. Even if last year nothing was written on your refrigerator, but this year you make up your mind, you make up your plan, and you put it there, visible every day. It matters.
I heard you use this word a few times, and when we speak about manifestation, this one really sits with me quite well, and it's the idea of seeds and planting these seeds. With manifesting something, for me, a thought is almost a seed, but to get it to the point where it is in this world, it is a physical thing. How do people go about that?
every day I have a lot of thoughts also. I have a lot of ideas. Partly, these are things now that sometimes come from me. At the same time, I also have, let's say, requests or ideas that are coming, let's say, from the outside being offered to me. So what I have sometimes at the end of the day is I can see in the mind those ideas. Now, what I do first of all is I keep them within myself and do what I contemplate, I think about them, but think about them deeply. Meaning, I take this idea, I look at where would that idea lead if I would now start with that current situation to invest energy in. And so what derives out from that is I'm starting to see pictures, I start to see a vision involving that idea in the future. And this I just do with everything that comes to my mind. And then see it in a bigger perspective of, is that now what I think the monastery, this community, or myself would in any way benefit from in order to make our mission more close to achieve, which means share more. This is how at the moment I'm planning I'm starting my projects. And once I'm clear for myself, this is the one I take. This is the one I take. Then meanwhile, I don't even have doubt that this idea in here will take reality. I don't even have that doubt that it will not take place. Because for me right now, it is that I try with my intentions, just figure out right now, who else, what else do I need? What is it that is in my hands right now to make that plan come true? Which obstacles do I maybe have to remove? And which other people or other things do I maybe need to take in that idea? And then it starts. If I have some people on my mind, the writing starts, the contacting starts. If I see already, okay, there are a few obstacles right now we need to get rid of, then the daily work goes into, okay, remove the obstacles. And yes, and why I am saying that at the moment I am trusting this process so much, that I'm trusting that idea so much that it will come real, is because I'm clear of my intentions. And as arrogant as it sounds, but I do think that this intention is very much in line of what I think this world is needing right now.
You've gravitated towards manifestation quite a bit. What does manifestation mean to you, and how have you implemented? What's some of the biggest ways you've implemented it?
Being able to see who you want to be, what you want to do, and what you want to have. Obviously, for me as a mixed martial artist, it is laser focused on what's happening when that octagon door closes and my performance in each one of my fights. But then also from a holistic standpoint of my life, how much impact do I want to make? How healthy am I? How fulfilled and how peaceful and how joyful am I? How much money do I want to have? How much, what kind of friends am I surrounding myself with? Reminding myself the friends that I do have, the influential people in my life that I do have in my corner, and just being okay with wanting so much more for your life, but being content with where you're at, but also knowing that you're going to accomplish more and not trying to force it today, just continuing to take little chunks out every single day. and realize that this is a long, long journey and it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, I think people get frozen by the idea of what they want, but it being such a big gap that they struggle to bridge it. You know, they struggle to take those tiny little steps because it just seems so distant.
Yeah, well, and that's where the keeping of little promises to yourself, you know, I mean, we all need these big, big lofty goals, right? We all need these big, big lofty goals. But, you know, if my goal always was to be a UFC champion and be the number one guy in the world, how was I going to be able to deal with that whenever I was losing to guys in the gym who you will have never heard of and he has never heard of, and quite frankly doesn't even deserve to be in the same octagon with me? But I was going to have my bad days. But so it's just like, it's every day realizing that it's just a little bit of improvement. And sometimes setbacks are the catalyst for improvements. Sometimes having a bad day is the catalyst for catapulting you toward the next level. You know, we need these failures and we need the struggle and we need the pain. We need these things to go through that galvanize us for the next version of ourselves. You know, just like I talked about with that conversation with Dana White, is like, I would not have been the man that needs that is able and willing to step into the UFC octagon on the biggest platform possible had I not had to go through the things that I had went through. So as you age, you just look back at things and you say, you know what? Things always work out and things take time. And as long as you're operating with integrity and you're not consciously trying to sabotage your life, and you try to do the right things, and you try to be nice to people, and you try to do your best with what you have, ultimately it's going to work out, and all the hard work eventually pays off, but you still have to be standing there to receive it when it does. It's the long game. It's the marathon of life. And the get rich quick 15 minutes of fame world that we're in 2024, everybody wants it now. We want instant gratification. A lot of people don't reach their destination because of a roadblock that they encounter. They reach their destination. They don't reach their destination because of a lesser accomplishment or a lesser path down a clear road, and they decide to veer off. You know, it's like you're walking down a road and you're trying to get to where you want to go, but then your back starts hurting a little bit and your feet start hurting a little bit, and you encounter a little bit of opposition. There's a couple little things you got to zigzag between, but then all of a sudden there's a nice clear path over there to the left that's not where I wanted to go. And yeah, that's not as good as the place I was going, but it sure does seem a lot easier. So I'm just going to go down that path. And that's, in my opinion, why so many people end up in places that they don't want to be, or give up on their dreams just because they could have been so close, but they just didn't want to keep on trying.
So we spoke about manifestation today, something I'm fascinated with, and especially sitting in your house, being outside. How did that all come about as a kid, understanding manifestation?
We had a teacher, well, she was our principal, and every day she spoke to us and said, you are great and walk in greatness. It wasn't a day that went by where she didn't say that to us. And that right there kind of like stuck in my head. I'm great. And so everything I got to do has to be great. I got to walk in this every day. I can't be on the fence. I can't be hot or cold. I have to be great and walk in it. And that's a fine line. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, her name is Sister Jerry Thompson, and she has inspired so many people from my school, so many people from my church, all because of two lines: be great and walk in greatness. And she said that constantly to us, to where it was like ingrained in my head. I could hear it. She passed away a couple years ago, and I could still hear her voice telling me to be great. And that's enough motivation for me to keep going. Like, I still feel like I can play 10 more years and do what I've been doing because of that, because of being great and walking in greatness. And that's the message that I try my best to give to any person that I meet or come across. Just be great. Whatever it is in life that you're doing, try to be the best at it. Be great at it and walk in it. Walk in your season of greatness.
I think having someone tell you, you're capable of achieving something is just absolute gift, especially as a child.
Yeah, it is. It just, and it was kind of like she was building up this fire in us every day, and we just get more motivated. I'm just listening to her. Be great and walk in greatness. Have a good day. So now as she telling me that, I can go through school, I can go through class knowing that I'm great. I can pass this test. I can pass these classes. I don't have to settle for being second best. I can be the best. I can be the greatest. And that was the mentality.
Can you tell us a story of when you eventually wrote down the goal of getting into the NBA?
I was 10 years old, and the first time I did it was after we had, we used to call it chapel at our school. Every Friday we would have chapel, and that's where all the grades would come in to the cafeteria, and the principal, Sister Jerry, she would it's kind of like a Sunday service, but on Friday. So Sister Jerry would line all of us up. So it'll be from 12th grade. Mind you, we went from 12th grade all the way to kindergarten. And so this was kind of like something that she did on a daily basis. And because of that, I don't know where I would be. I think it was a lot because of her.
And then the dream, you wrote it down, you stuck it on your wall, you said, your room was like a shrine to your goals.
It was. I just remember her saying, hey, the Bible says, write down your vision and make it plain for the world to see. And I remember just saying, what do I want to be? What is my vision? What is my goal? What is my purpose? I want to go to the NBA. I want to be one of the best basketball players to ever play. Let me write my goals down. Because if this is how I get to the top, I gotta write these down. I can't just keep holding on to these thoughts in my head and not putting them into action. They become action words once you write them down and you speak it. So it's not just about thinking it in your head. You gotta actually speak what you want to happen. And so me speaking was writing it down. 10 years old, after that sermon she gave us, I started writing down all of my dreams, my visions, my goals. And everything came to pass. Everything. The first one was to be the #1 player in high school. So when I got to high school, I was a #1 player. I graduated as a #1 player in the nation. My second goal was to be the #1 pick in the draft. I ended up being the #1 pick in the draft. My third goal was to win a state championship. We won a state championship. Every one of my goals that I had written down, my dad still has these goals, at our house. I wrote the goals down. I put them over my bed. And every morning that I woke up, I would look at the goals. Every morning that my parents came in the room, they would see my goals. I brought my goals to school. I let my teachers know, this is what I'm trying to do. And I asked them to hold me accountable. And they held me accountable to everything that I said. And that's why I was able to be as successful as I am today.
On the manifestation list, was Olympic gold, NBA championship, were those things on there?
Everyone was on there.
What was the best one? What was the best one, or the grandest one you was like,
winning the championship. Because it's like, it took me all these years to get this one goal that I had wrote down every year. So that's what I'm saying. You never know when your time is going to come to hit the jackpot or the lottery or the things that you're trying to get to. But it's the journey. That's why when I remember being on that live and boo-hoo tearing after we won the championship, I wasn't even thinking about the game or the series. Those things was my second thought. But the first thought was all these years of hard work and dedication and saying to myself, I'm going to win a championship. I remember my Houston Rocket team that I played for, we went to the Western Conference Finals and we played Golden State. And I remember saying to the media after the game, after we lost, I'm a champion. I'm still a champion. And they all laugh. Wow, he thinks he's a champion. They just lost. People saying he's delusional. They just lost. He's talking about he's a champion. But see, that's a mindset. And I've had that mindset from day one, that championship attitude, that championship pedigree. It might not happen till my 16th year in the league, but all those years, though, that was a journey. And then now when I finally made it to my destination, the thing that had me the most happiest and full of joy was the whole journey. Remembering all the people saying I wasn't gonna make it. Remember getting cut from a team after having an awesome year in Charlotte. Remember, all these little things happening that kind of like people try to derail me, or, issues that I've had to try to take me off focus. Just remembering all those different things, it led to the trophy. Patience. Patience, patience, patience. And long suffering.
If you're like me and millions of other people, you probably lead a busy life, and that's where this stuff comes in absolutely clutch. I know that I just scoop, shake and go, and I'm ready for my day. There are other companies that are trying to do what Huel is trying to do, but they use cheap ingredients. Sometimes it requires you to take 15 pills, or preparing food, trusting supplements with subpar ingredients, and also taking 15 pills a day is just something that we don't all want to do. That's where Huel makes health possible. Black Edition has 40 grams of protein in, 26 vitamins and minerals, and every single ingredient inside this has been carefully selected by Huel's expert team. So you know you're getting the good stuff. Don't just take my word for it. Millions of other people around the world are now using Huel as part of their daily routine. People like Idris Elba, Stephen Bartlett from the Diary of a CEO, Hardest Geezer, the man who ran the entire length of Africa, was using this stuff. If you want to join the movement, go to the link down below where you can get a free t-shirt, a free shaker, and also if you subscribe to Huel, you can get 10% off every single order. This is next freaking level. Go get some.
You've spoken about like creating with the manifestation. Sorry, the word manifestation is something that I'm really interested in. You've spoken about creating reality with belief though, and we speak about manifestation all the time and our audience invested in it. But I think it's important to have the correct language around it, because a lot of people say, I've tried manifestation, it doesn't work, it didn't bring me what I asked for, it didn't bring me what I thought about. I've, in your office today, I hope you don't mind, I saw something you had on your desk that's part of your manifestation. I mean, you spoke about it today, about the 150 million. And I'm curious as to how people can actually action manifestation to a point where it does breathe reality.
I'm going to take the word manifestation away.
Okay.
We are very powerful magnets. Whatever the most continuous thought you have is going to be magnetized to your life in its physical equivalent, whether you're conscious of it or not. Oh, I can't stand this. Can't stand this person. Oh, why do I keep attracting this kind of person? Because consciousness doesn't hear, I can't stand. It hears this person, this kind of person. I don't think people realize just how powerful they are, how powerful their being is, because they thrive off of rewards and certificates and things of that nature. But the self-reward and the self-acknowledgement will demagnetize the drive for you to do something outside of you. And the way you as a magnet works, what you want wants you. But also what you don't want wants you. And most of the time, there's a thought in your mind is, I don't want this kind of thing. I don't want to die, and I don't want this, and I don't want. So it sounds like the negative Smurf. Oh, I hate this and I hate that. But it might not sound like that outwardly, but in the mind, the stinking thinking. It's over 55,000 thoughts a day, and whichever one you concentrate power to, then starts to build this, it starts to create this wavelength that has this plastic universe shape itself around you. Just know that you're a very powerful magnet. You don't just randomly walk by somebody and then all of a sudden there's a shock. There's got to be something to that. There's got to be something to that. So let's just play in the realm of possibility. If you are the most powerful magnet in the world, and you attune yourself, kind of like a radio station, to a specific station or frequency. Think about how a radio station works. Static, shh. Then you get a station you don't like. Why would you listen to a station you don't like? But then you attune it. You're like, oh, this is my station right here. And all of a sudden you start attracting people who like that music. Well, let's just say your attunement sometimes is not a station that you like, but you keep listening to it and complaining about the station that you don't like, but you keep listening to. You're telling the attuner, I like this station. So it's going to keep attracting the same kind of people that don't like this station, but they keep listening to it. Well, what if you turn that dial to a station you actually like? You're going to feel different on the inside. And the feeling is the secret, said Neville Goddard. So then you start feeling different, which emotes a completely different frequency and no different than a sonar blip or the frequency from a dolphin. It goes out this way. Anything you put out comes back, but it doesn't come back this way. It comes back this way. So if you understand how to tune yourself, you'll send out a completely different signal. And whatever signal you send out, whoever's dancing to that signal, whoever wants to hear that station is who's going to show up. And that's why they say your vibe attracts your tribe. Your vibration attracts your tribe nation. You are the 5 closest people that you choose to surround yourself around. All of that's the same conversation.
Yeah, inner circle. Talk a little bit more about that, like the people you do hang around with.
You become the sum total of the people you hang out with, but there's more than one language. It's not just what they're talking about. It's what they're not talking about. It's the frequency that they're in. It's how they live their life in integrity or not. There's no in between. You're either living in integrity or not. Tearing people down, gossiping, whatever, you'll become the sum total of that vibration. Not the people, you'll become the sum total of the vibration. That's why if you move to France, you will become the sum total of the language that's spoken over there, but you'll speak like them, not like somebody who wants to learn French, who then goes to Starbucks and then puts on Rosetta Stone for 5 minutes a day and then is like, oh yeah, voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Or you go to France and immerse yourself in the culture. Now you learn all the different languages, frequency, vibration, the body language. There's so many different forms of languages. So understanding who you hang out with is a sum total of who you are as a person. Sometimes people are like, oh, I just can't let them go. And guess what? They are the sum total of hanging on to something that they can't just let go. It just might manifest itself through different ways in which they speak, but your vibe will attract your tribe. Yeah, but this person's got a lot of money. Oh yeah, but they also don't have a relationship with their kids just like you. You're experiencing the overcompensation, but the sum total, there's a shared frequency inside of there.
Everything's in the mind, the architect of reality. I love the explanation of it, when we're talking about the spiritual teachings, and it's definitely something that seeps out when we're talking about business, success, entrepreneurship, ambition. Can the mind be used for that thing? Is it wise to be used for achieving those kind of goals?
I met somebody once who said that she was manifesting, right? She was manifesting, and she designed her boyfriend. She got him, she manifested him. She designed everything about him in her mind, like she was practicing this. So let's begin by saying, yes, it works, right? Is it wise? Is it a good idea? I don't believe it is. Why? Well, the ability to create the things you want using the power of thought, using your mind, relies upon what we call in Buddhism merit or positive energy. We say merit, positive energy, good karma, good fortune, good luck. They're all synonyms, okay? It's all something that we've accumulated within us. Now, if we're someone who is rich in these positive imprints, in this positive energy, we will be able to manifest whatever we want, whenever we want it. So people that are really meritorious, have really accumulated a lot of this good stuff, their wishes are fulfilled all the time. Now, good while ago, maybe 20 years ago, I met a guy who was a professional luger, street luger. Now, I don't know if you've heard of that. It's when you lay on a board on wheels, and they do it in ice. It's like a one-man bobsleigh, But he was doing it on the road, going down the side of mountain roads, and he was getting up to like 240 kilometers per hour, a couple of inches off the ground, right? Anyway, I met him at a Buddhist class, and I was assisting that monk. I was setting up the class, and he came early. The interesting thing is that morning, I sort of made a little prayer. I'd like to have a teaching on karma. Anyway, I'm setting up the bits and pieces, the teas and everything for this club. And this guy comes in half an hour early, and he said, "Hello, I've come for the meditation class." I said, "Well, you're early, but you're welcome to have a cup of tea and chat." And you ask me, "What do you do? What do you do for a living?" And he's telling me, and I said, "So what makes you interested in meditation?" And he said, "Would you believe, when I was younger, I used to be able to manifest whatever I wanted." He said, like, if I wanted a girlfriend, I would be able to choose all her features and I would meet her. And then he said, if I wanted any money, if I needed some money, I could almost just choose the amount, and that amount would come into my life. And he said, everything I wished for just appeared in my life. And he said, I went through my whole life like this. And then he said, but now it doesn't happen. He said, now when I wish for something, the opposite happens. And he said, and so I'm looking to find out why that is the case. Anyway, that's when I asked him, that's when he told me about the street luging, right? And I thought, like, oh my gosh, like the reason why he was probably successful at that in the beginning was he could visualize the whole race, as a lot of sports people do, and maybe visualize winning and win. But now the opposite is happening when he tries to do it. And I'm thinking, he's going to kill himself. Like, this is very, very dangerous. Anyway, I never saw him again. So I don't know what became of him. But I understand, like, the Buddhist explanation is you only have a finite amount of this positive energy, merit. The way you accumulate it is through the selfless stuff, which we've discussed, being happy for others, selflessly loving them, wishing for them to be happy, particularly suffering in order to help someone. Like, all of this activity accumulates this stuff, right? But manifesting worldly wishes depletes it drastically. So it's not wise. It's much more wise to maintain the wish that everybody, including yourself, becomes truly happy. Because then what happens is the way it all appears in your dreamlike reality is everything that you need to become continuously happy, rather than being used on other things which deplete that merit, but they don't replenish it. Whereas when you're always trying to wish for others to be happy, you're just becoming richer and richer and richer. Like the Buddha's view of winning the lottery. You haven't won anything, like you've lost. Like all you're doing is cashing your chips in. Like I remember this story in the paper, like if you run out of this positive energy, merit, good karma, good fortune, you don't know whether the things that come into your life are actually going to work to make you happy, because happiness itself is made of this. Like there was this story of this lady, I think it was Limerick, she won the Euro lottery. She became a millionaire overnight, but her life she became in danger, because where she lived, it became known that she'd suddenly become very wealthy. And suddenly her life was in danger. She didn't know who her friends were. And I believe she actually ran away in the night with her family because she couldn't live there anymore. I don't know how much truth is to that story. I just heard the story. But it makes sense that all of that merit had been used up for a sudden acquisition of wealth. But once it was all gone, it just poured in all these difficult circumstances with it. So that was a long-winded answer to your question, but the answer is yes, it works. Is it a good thing? I don't think so.
Wow. I mean, that's so the way we build up this is through being good. Being selfless, being kind to others, and
exactly, giving
without expectation. But this is the funny thing about it is, if I said I want to be rich and successful financially, so I'm going to go out there on the streets and I'm going to help people out and be really, really kind, it won't work because
motivation.
Yeah, you can't have the expectation attached to it.
The underlying motivation is where it's the creator of. It's not just the actions. The actions will have some effect, but the power is the underlying motivation.
That's amazing. So there's no cheat code to it all.
No.
So anyone watching who wants to, who's looking for £1 million or whatever, you can't just go help people.
Exactly, but it's limited motivation. But why not try it? Like even if it is to become wealthy, like wealth through giving is still like wiser than robbing a bank.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like Buddha gave these teachings, but ideally you use them for spiritual realizations. Otherwise it's like making a bonfire out of sandalwood. Do you know what I mean? Or using a Rolls Royce to move manure around. Using the teachings of enlightenment to become rich is very limited, but it will still function, like it's still a good activity. Even if you think, right, I'm going to practice giving to become wealthy in the future, that is still a logical process. But if you want power, if you want real good fortune, then you should practice giving because you want others to be happy.